If you recently started working on a TypeScript or JavaScript project and you see all these dots everywhere and you don't know what they are representing or where they are coming from, you're not alone. Today, we will discover what is the spread operator and the rest operator. We will see some practical examples on how to use them, and we will have a lot of fun. So, dark mode. Okay, I think we should start the intro. Hello friends, it's Nikos here and welcome back to the channel. This is a channel about front-end programming and you're watching my free course about TypeScript. Every week we are exploring a feature of the language with practical examples and real-life scenarios. These are actually all JavaScript features that we are going to check today, but I think it's worth checking these features before we analyze some more advanced TypeScript features. Okay, so let's learn the spread operator. To understand how the spread operator works, consider these two arrays. So we have commercial terms and we have classical ones. And what we can do is, let me first start my terminal, and then what I would like to do is just copy these two lines here. So let's declare the commercial ones. As you can see, we get back undefined, which is the return value of this function. We are fine. I mean expression, not function. Let's try the second one. And now we have both of them. So we have the commercial ones and we have the classical ones. So now let's say that we want to create a new array. And to create a new array in JavaScript, we can just use the brackets, the array brackets. And let's say that we want somehow to use values from these two arrays here. So one way to do that is, for example, we can use the commercial terms. And this will basically copy-paste the whole array. So it will completely create an array within an array. It's like inception. And if I say, for example, commercial terms, and I have comma classical, we get back now two arrays within an array. So this is not what we want, because what I want is just to get rid of these arrays in the middle and have a flat list with all the values of these both two arrays. So basically I want to concatenate these two arrays. One way to implement that is to use the concat method of the array. But I don't want to use that because this is old school. I want to use the spread operator. And the spread operator works like this. So in the beginning of our variable, of our array here, all we have to do is place 3 dots. And boom, as you can see, my array has completely changed. And let me just scroll a bit so that it's perfectly visible. So here, if I remove the 3 dots, you see that we have an array within an array. But if I put the 3 dots, we have just the values. These 3 dots are removing the container thing and we get the exact values. That's what we want. And I can do the same with the classical ones. And again, here's the before. We have the array here in the middle, but if I put 3 dots, whoa, this is the exact structure I had in mind. Of course, the sequence plays a big role here. So for example, if I had the classical ones first, and then the commercial ones, the result would have been a bit different. So here I have first the classical ones, and then I have the commercial ones. And this is the simplest example you can have to understand how the spread operator works. One of the most common use cases of the spread operator is to combine and create object structures together. We've seen how we could use the spread operator with arrays. Let's see how we can use it with object structures. And one of the most common examples is when we have a state in our application, which is normally represented by some kind of an object like this one here, and we want to partially modify specific values in it. So here, for example, we have the interface settings, and as you can see, it has a bunch of configuration settings for our application. For example, the volume of our system, or the brightness level, or if we have enabled the email notification. So this is actually a user setting. And now let's go to the function here, which is called update settings, which kind of receives the current status, the current state of the settings object, and some new settings, which is a partial of the settings interface. And all you need to do here is basically to use the current settings and replace it with the new settings. Let's declare, for example, one object for our current state here. And what I'm going to do is update settings, provide the current, and here we can provide some new values that we want to change. For example, we can say that the updates are now 3, or the system volume has been set to 0.2. And this is basically quite, let me basically specify that this is settings. Okay, just to satisfy JavaScript here. Let me move this code here so that we see the full example in our screen. And am I missing something here? The user is missing. Okay, let's have a user here. Let's set all the settings to false, and let me collapse this part here. And here we are also missing something. We are missing the following properties: volume and number. Okay, let's have, for example, what else is missing here? The brightness. Let's keep the brightness to the same level. So current dot system dot brightness, and we can also use the dark mode. Yeah, well, let's keep it false. Okay, so I think now it makes more sense. So again, we have a current state here, which has all these settings. Let's say the current state of our application, and what we want is to update them with the values that we specify in this second argument, second parameter of this function. Okay, let's actually console log the result. This function will return the result, so we need to store it somewhere. And, oops, that goes very fast. Let's console log the result on screen. To launch my code, I will fire up another terminal. Let's compile our code and let's run it. Awesome. So now here, as you can see, we see the final output. Is this the output we were expecting? Let's see. So here, for example, we had our settings updates set to 0, and we wanted to have it 3. So yes, this is, as expected, the correct value. And then all the settings of the notifications must be falsy. We didn't touch this part, and as you can see, it took all the settings. Oops, sorry about that. It took all the settings from the original, from the current object, and they are basically displayed here. And what about the final one with the system settings? Yeah, the volume is now 2. The brightness, here the brightness, we got the current.system.brightness, so we copied the previous value, which was 7, okay, 0.7, and dark mode remained falsy. Of course, if I go here and change it to true, and I compile and run my application, we will see that the dark mode is now set to true. Pretty amazing, I would say, how fast you can modify state using the spread operator. So let's review how this code works. We have an update settings function, right? And this function gets an object. We've seen this object. It's a plain JavaScript object, nothing really unusual here. And we also have another object, a second object, which is the new settings object. This is the object that we specify when we are calling the function. And as you can see, this is a partial object from the original object that we had. So we don't need to specify all the values here. So our result will be a concatenated object, which first, what it does is copies over all the current settings. So this means that we go to the current settings and we take all the properties. So if I have to simulate the result, let me actually try to have side by side. And let's try to simulate the result here. So here the result will be everything that we have here. But basically, let's take it from the beginning. We return an object. Okay, let's place this object literals here. And then it says copy everything from current settings. Okay, we go to the current settings. That's the one. And I copy everything that we have. Sorry, I need to copy only the contents, so only the members of this object, but not the object itself. And I go here and I paste everything. Okay, now copy, override basically everything that the new settings has. In the new settings, we see the updates. So I go here and at the very end, I will define a new property, updates. And as you can see, this property already exists, so we cannot define it twice. So what JavaScript will do is basically replace this with the new value here. And the same will be applied for the system. So the system one will be replaced and the previous one will be gone. Awesome. So yeah, this current system brightness will have to be the brightness that we have already here. So let me repeat. Let me just put 0.7 here. And now we are talking. Now we are talking. So this will be the result. So as you can see, the spread operator works in, let's say, in a specific sequence. The order of the items plays a significant role. So for example, if here you had first the new settings and then the current settings, then basically you will not change anything because the new settings will be overridden by the current settings, which means the current settings will remain as is. But we can play with this a little bit. If you want, for example, you can specify some new things here. For example, you can say already that the updates are 10. And now, check this out, this will be the last in the sequence that will be executed. And this means that the final value will be again overridden. So here, for example, we will have to replace this updates value with a new one. And that will be the final version of the object. So let's try to run this just to make sure it is working as expected. And as you can see, the updates are now 10, which means I can override things in a sequence that I want. So if again these updates were, let's say, in the middle, let's save the file and compile it and run it again, you will see that the number 3 which was originally from my update object, will be basically, it will replace my hard-coded value 10 that I have here. And that is it, my friends. This is how you can use the spread operator to update, to make modifications in its state, in your state, or in any kind of object structure. Just be careful, the sequence plays a big role here. Now the spread operator has a friendly sibling, which is the rest operator, and both of them share the same syntax, so they both use these 3 dots. Now let's see how this works. Here we have a list of zerns again, and we are using the destructuring array here to get the first, the second, and the third. Now let's imagine that what if we want to get the first and we want to get the others combined in an array. So this is the absolute opposite of spreading the values, right? This is like collecting them and combining them again into an array. So I'm gonna launch the terminal again just to show you how this works. So we have our zerns here, and then what we can do is create the first element, and now you will see that the first is rock. So now check this out. I could use the 3 dots to say all the rest, they go to these 3 dots. And oh, I need to basically select a different name here. Okay, let's say that we want to get the first for the second time. That's really a bad name for a variable. Okay, and now check this out. If I have again the first for the second time, it will be for the second time it will be rock. But if I ask for the rest, I will get back the remaining values, pop and R&B. So the rest operator, and we can illustrate this rest operator here, is basically combining the remaining values in one array. And now the result will be one variable that contains the first value and an array that contains the rest. And actually you don't have to name this rest, you can name this anything, just specify the name you want it to have. Of course, you are not limited to use the rest operator with arrays only. You can also use it with object structures. And one cool feature is when you use the rest operator in function arguments. Let me show you. So here we have render popular zerns, and as you can see, we are receiving the first argument, the second, and all the rest, all the others, are here in a string array, and as a result we print the first, the second, and the length of all the others. Okay, let's try to battle test this function here. I will call the function and I will paste a couple of zerns. So what we can do is basically console log this value. And I'm really curious to see the result. So I'm launching my terminal again. We compiled it and now it's time to run it. As you can see, the result is exactly what we were expecting. So we display only the first and the second from the list that the user provides, and then we combine all the others and we display their length. This basically means that you can create functions with infinite arguments. For example, you can have a function that takes an infinite number of numbers and it returns their sum, their total. Pretty cool stuff. Now, if you want to play with the coding examples, I have an article which contains all of them, and you can also check the official Student's Companion, which includes a lot of nice articles and videos. It's also like a nice way to watch exactly what you want. And have a lot of nice videos in the pipeline, so make sure you subscribe because you don't want to miss them. And if you want to watch all these episodes from the very beginning, check my playlist over here. Thank you very much for watching and have a creative day. See you in the next one.